So the familiarity trap, you know, it is perhaps the most complex mind setting, most disadvantageous mind setting, especially for individual evolution and for the general process requirements of the attendant spirit. I mean, attendant spirit meaning manifested as so-called genius, fully functioning individual. That's what we call a genius in self. The Abraham Maslow concept of fully functioning individual. This all we have mentioned in our previous discussions. So I just want to do a little more extensions of that. Some of the primary dynamics of this familiarity trap. One is that, or how it blocks the evolution of the attendant spirit is, one, our familiarity trap would not allow us to notice the unfamiliar or rather new ideas or new developments of perceptions and thoughts and sensitivities reported to you by the weak internal dialogue. One. Two, because of the lack of experience in dealing with a new topic, even if it is noticed, it would not be given much reflection and other creative analytical consideration related to one only. What is three? In the context of what, how familiarity trap can be a block to individual development and evolution of the mind and intellect and spirit. First one I told you, because of the familiarity trap, new things will not be noticed or unfamiliar. New thing is unfamiliar. New things meaning what? Of course, in the, not necessarily in the public environment outside, but we are talking about individual evolution. So the new originations of sensitivities and perceptions and feelings and intuitions and insights and dreamy contents will not be noticed at all. Secondly, again I connected to also consequence of the first one. Even if it is noticed, it would be packaged, it would be conceptualized in the familiar terms. Everything is conceptualized. Alright? Isaac Newton conceptualized the principles of specific gravity. Okay? Or Rabindranath Tagore conceptualized Gitanjali. Or Robert Frost conceptualized the beautiful poem, The Road Less Walked, or something like that. Or The Solitary Reaper, or music, or film direction, or story writing, or other philosophical writings, or whatever, They don't know what to do with that in its required dimensions and orbits of extensions and implications. Instead, they will conceptualize it into available format. One of the most common is that it is a coincidence, for example, For example, you say, today my friend will be coming at 5 o'clock and the friend comes and others will interpret it as a matter of coincidence and you will also be forced to conclude there. The role of the double in our existence will not be noticed. Okay? If human beings are supposed to continuously, automatically evolve, that is what the basic engine power is given to every human being, but it is not happening because it is continuously under handbrake of the available familiar mind setting and familiar knowledge package and familiar methods of observing the world and making analytical conclusions. And as a corollary, people with the familiarity trap, because of the compulsion and obsession to remain in the familiar box, they would not have read much varied dimensions of topics. Their minds would not have that essential background of any creative process called preparation and incubation, with a great lot of new wonderful ideas in the great classic works of super genius individuals in the history of the world. Therefore, they would not have sufficient language to conceptualize, even if they try to reflect it in a new dimension. The new idea given new consideration, they would not be able to conceptualize it. This is the second block, second problem with the familiarity trap. What is the third problem? That was my question. If you understand familiarity trap, what is familiarity trap? You don't know that. No, you don't know that. Being trapped in familiarity.
Yes.
That's all, at the simple level of expression. Being trapped in familiar expressions, familiar responses, familiar behaviors, familiar ways of doing things, familiar relationships, and familiar language and familiar thought process patterns. That is called familiarity trap. Which will give rise to the taken for granted attitude or other related ways of looking at the world of people and the world of events and episodes and phenomena, and including oneself. So what is the third problem?
The third most visible problem is about the day-to-day actions, behaviors, relationships, and the whole situation going around is taken for granted. And that affects the whole personality. Whatever they do they remain in confusion, conflict. There is no clarity in relationships or no elegance or completeness in actions. Due to all this, due to taking things for granted, taking relations for granted. I think the third most visible, third one, I think this is first disadvantage that from that people suffer due to familiarity trap.
Yeah. And in fact, I did this today for another, because of something else. The other day, just like that, I put it in the Facebook post about familiarity trap. I told you every post is a unique post. So I write about things to educate eligible people. So familiarity trap was one of the posts, and so I mentioned that I would be doing a free session on this day, 9:30 p.m. And my email ID was given. You can definitely assume that there is not a single email. And those who responded are only you three. And Sarah made a message to me saying that, it is already taken, right? So today, that's all. So I just replied that I never do a repetition, which you know now. I know what I told and I know what I redo. So that itself is a point, because they cannot see that. Of course, my Facebook posts are read average maybe 5 or 6 people only. Therefore, it is not a statistically valid conclusion, because it is coming suddenly today. Anyway, that's not important. If they understand how familiarity trap is finally blocking the possible, probable God realization or self-realization, how managing familiarity trap, how transcending or evading familiarity trap, one can go beyond their idols of Shiva or Parvati or Dhanvantari or Sri Ram or Sri Krishna or whoever. They are all now trapped in the idol kept in their puja rooms or in the temples. Are they the real, are they anyway connected to the referent of the concept of Shiva? That only we know. Is there any one of them, any single piece anywhere in the whole world which is anyway correlated with any aspects of the referent of that concept or the name Shiva or Parvati or Hanuman or Jesus or Krishna or Buddha or whoever? See, it is only a gateless gate to go and see what was the phenomenon or entity named by that word Shiva or Rama or Krishna or Buddha. Am I right or not? Yeah, I know I am 100% correct, not just right. Okay, I am not blaming that or I am not finding any lacuna in that. Okay? They are at least in that trap, which is better than being trapped by the nonsenses and the violences and the other unethical mindsets in the world. Okay? And that is the purpose of that way also. There should be a proper mindset for human beings to basically trust their basic identity. That part it is doing very well, that's okay, but we are talking from the angle of observation of the sharpness of referent reality perception and familiarity trap, which only we three are discussing in the whole universe of human beings today. And what is it? It is about the fundamental. Amaya? Sorry.
Being that he club join the session. So could you please resend the email to a different email address?
Oh, this session is only for 1 hour. It is already about to be over, Amaya. I will try to connect him. And we are dealing with something very significant. And I want to do a complete job even if I am talking to one person. So I don't care whether I am talking to one person or 1 million people. I am talking to the most wonderful entity in my projected target to which I am talking.
We are familiar, and due to this particular trap of space, we tend to under-explain concepts that we erroneously assume our prospects fully comprehend.
Precisely. Yeah, this is what I implied in the second point of the block of familiarity trap. That means we would not have the, let us say very plainly, people do not have the language competency to conceptualize the so-called new idea or unfamiliar idea arising in them. That's what you also said, right? But a different aspect of it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I was thinking, even if it is noticed, then it is ignored very easily.
Yeah, ignored, yes. It is simply ignored. That is due to some other mental block called self-doubt or resource myopia or lack of creative sensitivity. But all these are primarily rooted in that familiarity trap. And why it is so critical is because none of the other blocks, like fear and anxiety about the ambiguous and the unknown and whatever, fear and anxiety about getting detached from work, about maintaining centricity and conformity, about the fear of loneliness and humiliation, or fear of failure of future, and so on and so forth, or self-doubt, or rigidity, or starred sensitivity. They are all individual engines for certain clear objectives to be accomplished. But familiarity trap is very wider, and it will automatically engage with the familiarity, extreme familiarity with one's own self-image and one's own self. That's the most critical. Whatever is that one's own self, almost everything about one's own self will be taken for granted. Or even a lot of people have in contempt. There is a proverb, the jasmine in the courtyard is not as good as the jasmine in somebody else's courtyard. So familiarity breeds contempt. There is an English proverb. So for a great majority it is a contempt. Though a lot of people appear to be very confident and very bossy and very egoistic and very sociable and all those things, in their secret moments they have set of contempt, not in the sense of very negative, some kind of a dissatisfaction with them. Great lot of human beings are dissatisfied. Forget about depression, that's a different dimension, emotion. This is an intellectual dissatisfaction today, especially in the huge, wide, easily accessible world of internet. Everyone, including a rural little man, is worried about or feeling disappointed or feeling defeated about his or her overall self and competencies and social role and intellectual role and educational role, because by the touch of the button you come across wonderful people. I know many people who can sing. They do not sing because there are Mohammed Rafi or S.P. Balasubramaniam or Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, or many other young people, including little babies today in so many shows, singing so marvelously, brilliantly, magically. So how can I ever sing like that? So they are disappointed about their singing, about their dancing, about their talking, about their learning. Every child in the classroom is developing an unconscious tsunami when he realizes that there are 1 or 2, 3, 4 other guys who are doing wonders in the classroom and getting appreciated by the teacher. And in turn, it is reflected automatically, unknowingly from the expressions and responses and behaviors and doings and ways of relationships and languages of the very parents. Almost every parent, however illiterate or literate, is getting defeated when he or she realizes that their child is not as good as some other child in the school. And it will automatically reflect in their internal, non-conscious perceptions about the child. Of course, they may continue to love more, provide everything, etc., 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 etc. But they remain trapped in their own cocoon of familiarity trap with the child, only to salvage, only to manage their possible, probable depression, from dissatisfaction to depression to failure in life. Actually, the life of those parents is a failure. And on the other side, they have fear and anxiety about failure. They have already self-doubt, including doubt about the very God, whether that is really God for me, whether that God is really doing something for me. It may be doing wonders to some other people. They publicly claim that I got this award, I got this reward, I got this, I got that because of my God's blessing. Millions of other people are doubting whether they are not blessed or not. They also go to the temples, they also do the prayer, they also do all the penances, they also worship their so-called deities or gods, and they are wondering. They manage it by just disregarding that data, the so-called data climate of the world, that data that one guy said, I got this first prize, or I got this reward, I got this top position because of God's grace. So I know, I am a don't care, eccentric. I have sung close to 10,000 songs, 10,000 singings in Smule. Perhaps I am one of the very few who has done so many singing. There may be 3.5 lakh of people, the lakh of whatever followers. But that is one song joined by 100 other people. I am one of the joiner, I am not a member. So every time I have to sing. Whereas the other guy put one invite and 100 people or 200 people join, and that adds up to the total number. So what I mean to say that, I am such a cool guy, I don't remember any songs, I sing as it comes on the screen only. I don't know the lyric of anything. I have not even heard some of them, maybe except some 4, 5, 6, 7 years back. Even with such an eccentricity, and let me tell you, when I hear somebody else singing so beautifully, I feel, oh my God, no, I cannot do this, you know. So, if it is the case with such a down-care guy like me, what would be the feeling of millions of other children who wanted to sing, or who can dance, who can paint, who can write poetry and philosophies, who can do many, many other things, you know, games and sports and many other things. Those who try, despite all these things, they are really wonderful people. You know, thousands of guys who try still cricket when Sachin Tendulkar and all those wonders are there, Kapil Dev and all there, hundreds of people who sing there, beautiful people. Despite having such great role models, they are ready to do what they did. When millions of the majority are just not ready to do that, that's all. They are all very egoistic and arrogant and victims of familiarity trap. Because their familiarity trap about them is as a person who cannot sing. Who cannot sing at least like that. So that's a part of his package of perception about him. Because a singing he or singing I is unfamiliar to me. I have not come across such a me at all. I have come across a singing me maybe in the privacy of the bathroom. Not before two other people. Not before an audience. That's why every parent should give an opportunity for their child to be on the stage at least once. What he or she did on the stage is not important. Many parents do not do that also, because if they send their children to the stage, it must be for some valid performance. And most schools may not have that facility for that also. But every good school or a good teacher should allow everybody to address the audience, but I don't know whether they understand what I propose right now. So coming to the familiarity trap, the major final great block is the third block, that it blocks your shift, it prevents your shift in gear from
It's 22 hours.
from a previous existent self to a newer self. The self which has been gradually formed on ambiguous basis at the age of 9 and point 9 to 27 or 28 or 35 or 45 or 50 or 65 or 70, okay, that self is the familiar. They do not know about any other self. It is unfamiliar. Or there could be an assumption that when I change myself, I might look different or I might feel different. Quite feel different, of course, there will be. You will become, that is the possibility of the blooming provided in the tree of the human entity, in the rose plant of every entity. It is forcibly blocked by a picture of the rose plant at the age of 3 months. But now comes the fifth problem, fourth block. That is, we are talking about a blockage of individual evolution because of familiarity trap. This many are due to the familiarity trap of a given individual about oneself. The other is a little more complicated. Other is the other people's familiarity trap about you. The way you are familiar to others, they do not know they are not able to recognize the rudimentary projections of the wonders and the magics of expressions and responses, languages and modes of relationships or signals of actions and all that. They just don't see that. As I told you the first one. Second, even if they saw that, they may say good or they may give a kiss, but beyond that it will not go to the development of a solid shift in perception about you. I mean, the package of their familiarity trap about you. Even when you, for example, a clerk in a government office, suddenly get into the top of Indian civil service, and if she joins Indian foreign service or administrative service or so called, police service, then there will be a shift. But that is only a shift in understanding, not in referent perception or referent reality perception. Like in the headlines of newspaper, when the mother of the previous president, K.R. Narayanan, told publicly to the newspaper that he may be the president of India, but for me, he is still in the cradle of my hands. What bullshit, actually. Yeah, and in a different sense, I mean. Psychologically, it could be true. But that's the way the parents deal with the children also. They don't look at the children as if grown, mature individuals. Of course, I'm talking about the great majority of parents. Okay, they know that boy has become grown, got married, 2 children, etc., etc. But details of their dialogues and interactions with this so-called boy of the age of 55, married and having 2 employed children, will be clearly providing sufficient evidences that his mental trap about that son is more or less the same only. And coming to the most, the only social phenomenon existing more or less today, the only one social phenomenon, real social phenomenon existing today, the only one institution that is existing today with a little bit of basic allegiance to rules and regulation is the marriage institution. Marriage sociologically is called an institution. And precisely there is the scope for greater complexities of involvement or interference or interventions or stupid kind of attacks by the familiarity trap. Revealed by simple dialogues like, this is not what I thought about you, okay? I never expected this from you. You have become very different. You were not like this before. By reason or we are not making a value judgment. Maybe they are logically concluding. Of course, every behavior is logically clear to every guy. The rapist is logically convinced. The murderer is logically convinced. The purely unethical, fraudulent political leaders are convinced. But they will do that. Or they would do what they would do. So she would not be a statistician or a creative observer to consider the fact that for the last 5 years he was in the junior manager level and he had only kind of office time kind of a job, and he would come home and there is a talk and once in a while film going or going out and things like that. Now he is general manager. General manager all India. 24 hours involved. Even if he is at home, he is involved. Therefore, he doesn't have that earlier level of romance or degree of romance or even degree of normal conversation. But that will be interpreted from that familiarity trap perception, familiarity trap driven perception of the others. I know many wonderful dynamic people outside. Once they reach home, they are nothing but what you call puppets of their mother or father or parents or uncles and all that. Because they will allow themselves to be properly fitting into that familiarity trap perception of the parents. They don't mind becoming a 17-year-old girl or boy. Boys are a little different, though. So I just gave some critical dimensions of familiarity trap. It implies that you have to somehow evade, somehow transcend, somehow manage, somehow develop sensitivity to familiarity trap and the ways it operates in most of the critical times of choices and decisions and actions, outside as well as much more inside. Outside may depend upon factors in the external environment, but definitely inside. Okay, you say, or people say they are familiar, they know them. I mean, whatever they know them. What they know about them is what they happen to know about them. What the limit is that only what they know about them. Millions of people who never read any wonderful book, never try to sing songs or never try to try some painting, never try to interact with beautiful people, never try to evolve, never try to become a wonderful individual, which is all very critical today because you just click any YouTube page, there is at least one YouTube which talks about so-called great ideas of evolution from various established gurus like Sadguru Jaggi Vasudev or Sri Surya Shankar or J. Krishnamurti or hundreds of other people, and beyond that many so-called motivational speakers. I wonder what do they do when it comes on the screen, you know, that particular thumbnail, what do they do? Do they just skip it and do they go for their permanent familiarity trap driven choices of films and something? That itself is the evidence, you know. My Facebook posts, I know that they are world class concepts. Every one of them. In most crispy definitions of complicated, complex thesis, where I have openly written any of them, or at least 7 out of 10 can be a PhD thesis in philosophy. I know that. I am so it must be going through at least 400 Facebook so-called followers. I mean, it must be coming in their page. I think that's what happens when you follow somebody. And I have everything is a research for me. If I put a photograph of, let's say, Nitya coming to my place and I am holding her shoulder and I put a photograph, there will be minimum 200, 300 clicks. And as a researcher, I have found that the average readership of my Facebook post is not more than 3.75, which is not correct in the sense that which is slightly skewed, because some of the songs I have put in have been seen 60 times or 70 times. So that also is added there. Otherwise, it will be something like a 1.5 and some, that's all. That means 2 out of 3 people, something like that only. I am sure it goes through their eyes, but they just do not have the plus 3 sigma to stay there and reflect upon that. I don't care. I have nothing else to do, so I do it. Actually, that is the fact. And I have realized that I don't want to write any more books. And I am writing books on the rasayanas. I am now in the complete research in rasayanas. And this. So coming back, so now I am just giving an example about myself to talk about the freedom from familiarity trap. Or only by familiarity trap I can explain my case. Of course, I have interviewed some 800 creative people also, other than 5,000, 6,000 managers. Most of them, or I know about me so clearly, so I first-hand reporting. In the beginning, I started with writing, a little part, writing poems. Then maybe after some time, I realized I was a hooligan. I never read anything. I was just a hooligan and a rowdy. So my mother was a greatly respected teacher. My father, both of them Sanskrit scholars, etc., etc., etc. Though. So one day I realized that there is poem. So I wrote poems. And I'm so beautiful poems, very powerful poems. Then I realized that there is something called short story. Then I wrote short stories to such an extent that my short story appeared in the topmost magazine in Kerala state, a magazine called National. Then I realized that there is one act play, writing one act play and directing one act play. That I did. And that to a supreme extent of translating Jonathan Livingston Seagull into a theatre production. Okay? Then I did the 2.5 hour full-time ticketed drama in Tagore Theatre in Jamshedpur. Ticketed, 5 rupees. Yeah, full auditorium. Alright? In between I tried electronics, mechanical things and things like that. Okay? Now, and then I realized that research is there, then I realized that creativity is the greatest topic, and then I repeated even though I could have submitted my first almost completed thesis in Kerala University and got my PhD elsewhere, I never wanted to do that. Because I wanted to do it under Pradeep Khandwala. Because I am doing it just for that, not for any job or anything. So, these are the kind of things I have done. And then I have managed to read all the Upanishads and of all kinds in the whole world, finalizing into Zen and rasayanas, okay, between many things, finally rasayanas. Perhaps, to my knowledge, I am the only one who can make it. Somebody else can concoct it, because I don't think many people know the pujas and homams and mantras to be performed because every rasayana is a deity in a temple, a deity that goes into the temple of a human being. So that level. This is partly, of course, talking about me. The critical point I wanted to talk about is, even at the level of short story writing, after that I could not write poems. After writing this full-scale drama, I could not write short stories. After my university degree, doctorate and all that, I could not write any, I wanted to write a short story. But I just could not. Okay, and there are so many. So now the latest, I may say, I was a master in handwriting analysis. Now I do not know anything. I consult Veena Ganesh. She is the proof. Then I mastered the most complicated form of astrology called the I Ching of China. And I have trained it to some people also. Now I cannot do it. I ask Amaya and Mandra to do it. Even when I really wanted to do it, I called them to do it for me. A perfect passage from one stage to the other. At the same time, I include all these things. That's why I started singing. Something which I did when I was doing my degree course. Only to connect with the totality. So connection will not be lost and all that. Though what I told about me imply that your connection will be lost, that is not a clear example. Your connection, because I never did again, that's all. That's my way. I don't want to do some, repeat what I already have managed to go, and when there is something new to learn, that is why. So never maintain that familiarity with you, because it is the greatest challenge. The Taoistic masters say, Lao Tzu said, the greatest mastery is mastery of one's own mind. And I would say that mastery is about mastery or the familiarity with oneself. I defy. Lao Tzu is telling mastery of the mind. It is just a very general statement. I belong to India. But I am pinpointing that mastery of the mind is nothing but mastery of the familiarity trap controlled self-perception, not to be a victim of that. That is all. So, develop strategies. Like for example, one, feel your body most of the time. Be comfortable with whatever you get as the feeling of the body. You don't trust it fully because it is all the time there. But you re-reflect on that. Do not take it for granted. Taking it for granted includes constantly being aware that you are your body. That's what I said. Actually, you are not your body. That is the body of a human creature on this planet Earth. 100%. So every day should have a moment of separation from that body and just try to observe it. Don't make unnecessary complications and logical blocks about it. Just what you see. Just look at what you are aware of your body. It is now on and off. Finished. That means for that point of seconds you are away from your body, right? Nitya, you got the philosophy. Trust that knowing, that's enough. That's one way. Then many other automatic escape from familiarity trap would happen. By the way, Anirudh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Alright, okay. By the way, you look very much more smart and what you call spick and span.
Yes, sir, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, by the way, he is right now sitting in London.
Oh.
He has been there. He has been there in London for the last 3 months, and next month he will come back to India.
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right.
That's right. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
Minus what?
No, not minus. It's about 12, 13 degrees.
Oh.
Not that cold.
So for
Not that
I
cold.
think Delhi would have much less than that, right?
I think so.
Or you have experienced that level of temperature in Delhi? 1 degree and 0.
Yes, I have.
That's not a problem.
Only here it's raining most of the time. So that makes the whole thing very sultry.
Enjoy every rain, and rain is a marvelous phenomenon.
I am. Thank you.
Everything is, of course, but rain is so manifest everywhere with 360 degrees with its sound and gentle music, I changed a part of the entire roof with a tin sheet only to hear the sound of the rain. But I am so sorry, you are so sad that there is not much rain in this place at all. That's okay, whatever little bit, in a way it is good, but otherwise perhaps I would have taken it for granted like millions of other people who take the rains and the mist and the skies, starry nights and birds, music and rose flowers on the roadside. See? how the beauty of life, that was the topic, how that marvelous beauty of life is just not accessible to millions and millions of people who are running and chasing their so-called invisible, indescribable gods in collectivities as one of the collectivities, instead of being contained within the unique entity and enjoy directly the wonders and the magics of the very nature before them. See what a tragedy of the great majority. What a tragedy of the great majority. Nothing wrong, that is our angle of observation. Our angle of observation is the minimal, the most powerful, It is greater than plus or sigma. And it is, only you people can afford to be in that level. I know I am a researcher and I am a clinical psychologist and I have come across 7,500 plus managers, direct contact training programs and interviews about 800 people of all kinds and interacted with the students for some 30, 40 years. Every teacher is a good judge of people, Every teacher. Then you can imagine my case. Because they see a sample all the time. From that angle, I would say every conductor, bus conductor is a good judge of people, Nitya. Every restaurant guys, then who? Maybe every traffic guy, not police people, they are judge, but yeah, they may be, I don't know much about that because of the stories available about them are not that conducive. But definitely they are good in judging the wrong people. Anyway, coming back, so I want to train you to be a wonderful, sorry to use the word judge, wonderful analytical observer of people without meeting anybody on the road ever. That is definitely possible. Evidenced by the fact that the rishis wrote about the entire possibility of human evolution. Aryabhata talked about astronomical positions. Bhaskara talked about all those things. Dhanvantari and Susruta and Charaga and Swargadhara and Vagbhata talked about every point of every plant in the whole world. Do you think they can interact with even 0.1% of the plants and the grass and the trees? And taste them and experiment with them? Impossible. So that is the level possible if you are ready to get out of that familiar view, which is just one of the social identities in your society. That is why the rishis went to the forest. That is why the monks went into the caves of distant mountainous forests. Not even where people just cannot even know that they are there. All the great locations like Gaya or what is that near place? Gaya? Anirudh? Gaya and our Naveen is here.
Yeah, Nalanda, Rajgir.
Rajgir.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they are all terrible forests, but now it's occupied by people. And the very design of the Nalanda and very design of the structure of the caves in Ajanta or elsewhere in various parts of the southeastern or Indian continent. Anyway, so that is a high kind of a statement I made when you can talk to some others when you guide them. Alright? Because you are all socially involved, especially people like Nitya and Naveen and Devaraj just cannot afford to be comfortable doing that. But definitely, once you achieve that, you can do that, no doubt. Like a little child is ready to interact with the strangers, why not? Then you can maintain that little child who is always wondrous about the world, They are not yet mental trapped with the explanations which make things and entities and phenomena very familiar to them. They are wondrous about the starry nights and misty rains and majestic mountains have been curtailed by the educated rigidity of the so-called great, educated, evolved parents. Okay, anyway, do that. So, first requirement used to be very clear about familiarity trap itself, which is now clear to you, and then be aware of wherever that familiarity trap is popping its poisonous head into your ongoing situation. And third is to cultivate that tendency secretly and maintain a project work of your ideas. Even the idea that I should be very well known if I am capable, that itself is a familiarity trap perception. Who knew? What? Okay, Jesus was well known. Who accepted him when he was alive? Krishna was most of the time alone. Nobody knows who is Patanjali, who is Vyasa, who is Rama, who is Krishna. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. None of the existing human beings anywhere in the world has seen Shiva or Rama or Krishna or Jesus or even Buddha. All the symbols are created and familiarity inducted and induced and injected and enforced upon developing children. They are all made to believe that this image is the image. This image is the Buddha. This is, Naveen, it is not that this is the image of Buddha or image of Shiva. This is Shiva, That's why they have been made familiarized with those artist-driven paintings and craftsman-driven stone statues. Krishna is almost like a beautiful, glamorous-looking girl. Not a trace of hair anywhere. Okay? And standing always in that posture carrying a flute throughout his life. Or Shiva, always like that rigid face with snakes all the time from in the sleep. Or even when he goes for shitting. And their image of Shiva is that Shiva would never shit. It's very difficult to believe. Yeah, it is very difficult to believe. It is very difficult to imagine Shiva sitting somewhere and shitting. Very difficult to imagine that the Prime Minister of India, the President of China sitting and shitting in the morning. It's very difficult to imagine about great film stars or musicians or music directors or very well-known people of all kinds. That part does not include, like the unfamiliar new idea is excluded from perception. Even when 100% aware, it is excluded. Because one is not supposed to be familiar with the ways of their such so-called body activities. And because of the familiarity trap, most people avoid reflecting about the beauty of their experience of possible death. They just avoid it. They are scared. They are all different issues. They are all connected with other mental traps. I am telling that none of these people in the whole history of the world has the guts to imagine for 3 seconds that he or she is also a kind of a deity sitting wherever he or she is sitting. So many examples. Anyway, we have to cut short it in another 10 minutes. Already it is 1 hour. Okay. So think about ways of managing your familiarity. Trap.
And one thing that you told, that feel your body most of the time. And yes, there are no limited ways, but what can be the prominent ways?
I'm sorry, once again.
One way that you suggested or you told right now, that feel your body most of the time to evade familiarity trap. What more ways can be? Or is there nothing
Okay.
one
That
to
is
cultivate?
that I implied in the second point. Because of the familiarity trap-driven self-perception, the rudiments of new ideas, because everybody is a thinker now, because everybody, especially among you, every one of you is educated. I think, therefore I am. Okay, at the primary reality level. So, focus on the rudimentary idea that comes into you. Even if it is a single word observation or a two-word observation or one sentence or one paragraph, start writing a diary. Start writing. Don't just keep thinking. Then you will know. That is why I said, Naveen, the most comfortable or ideal purpose of existence is getting satori or getting the level of genius himself. So that's about you only, you know. If you get the rudimentary idea of a philosophical proposal to the world, you have to work hard and sit down and write and send it to the ML or present it elsewhere and so on and so forth, right? Okay, if it comes to do it, wonderful. But ultimately, the lasting and sustainable and real purpose of the existence of that entity is the tuning with the consciousness by which that entity existed till then. You know, that entity carries the mind or the will of the you. Okay? That you should be primarily be motivated, inspired to at least meet once that which was running the entire show. That level of that topmost consciousness mirror, which was mirroring all that you have been doing and not doing, all your moments of doubts and worries and happiness and ecstasies, they were all reported to you back to your mind by that supreme mirror. Alright? So, are we not liable to wonder about that umbrella? Who is keeping that umbrella above you from the heat of the sun and the turbulence of the rain? At least once look at the umbrella. And what is that umbrella? What is holding that umbrella? Nothing is holding that umbrella. And if you come across somebody holding it, that is your choice. Therefore, we organized this program called Genius in Self. It is not about genius in music or genius in physics or genius in calligraphy or genius in etching. Genius is just a name we use, that's all. We don't want to use enlightenment, we don't want to use even satori, which is much more friendly and clear term. We don't want to use other terms like guru and became well known and all those things. A very practical, very scientific, objective approach to identify that which is all the time there, giving you the feedback about you. Whether physical pain or psychological pain or intellectual pain or social pain or economic pain or relationship pain or whatsoever trace of your so-called experience and feelings are made feedback driven to you by that. Another thing is remind yourself to change your expressions to people. learn at least one new expression. Like Nitya is smiling now in a very different way, at least one unique way of smiling, a new way of smiling. Not all the time to everyone. A new way of responding instead of I see, oh, he, and all that. Make a response. Make a variation. You may say, that's right. Instead of that you say, that's correct. I'm just giving some rudimentary examples. That is all expression level. You may not be that comfortable. But you see, uneducated people are mastering their expressions and making billions, okay, the so-called film actors and theatre artists. If they can do it, why not you? Okay, that is because of some other mental blocks of fear of, being teased, being humiliated by other people and all that. Why are you bothered there? That available self-trapped driven perception about self includes the parental instruction that nobody shall humiliate you, nobody shall intimidate you, nobody shall insult you. Though every parent most of the time will do insulting the other parent in presence of the child. So everyone is consciously driving their path of existence through the rigorously defined road of the social forest. Get out of that and drive to your own meadows and hills and roadless roads and pathless paths. That's another way. Then the third one, the way you behave with other people. Do some new behaviors. When somebody comes, you stand up and do a namaste, or say a Hey Ram, or Jai Ram. Or instead of a how are you, you make some other question. Or behave. If you have never gone with a certain person to a coffee shop, a colleague, of course, go to a nearby coffee shop, just like that, go and interact with a new person. Somebody in some other department, because he and you are in the same lift or same corridor. Just smile at him and talk to him. But strategically, I am talking about to Nitya. Be strategic also. Because most men are victims of the familiarity-driven trap that they themselves doubt their integrity to behave decently with a girl. They are not familiar with such an entity in them. That's the tragedy of most men, Their familiarity with them is only as an uncontrolled sexual maniac in their secrecies. in their secrecies. So they doubt themselves. Most of them are scared to be alone with a beautiful, attractive female. Scared in the sense that they are doubtful about them. They are afraid whether they would end up doing something which is against their modesty or illegal now. That's why because a very great majority of men have a familiar self of them with nothing other than concern for sex and sex only. Not even romantic appreciation of the female elegance and to enjoy conversation with her. Their only familiar terrain is sexual intercourse, especially now increasingly in India, like in the US. There is no romance in the US, there is only sex. India is also progressing towards that level. They are all becoming unfamiliar. So, manage your ways of doing things. Okay. The way you cook, the way you set your room. Alright? That's why I shift my room I just automatically redesign the internal setting of the room because I have only one room.
Yes, that's true.
If you are only one, you have all the freedom. And if you are clearly convinced about the only oneness of you, you are ever free from the shackles of various disadvantageous forces of existence maintained by everybody else around.